to another book, God's Children, where A-Train Blues is a little bit more focused on September 11th and war, and God's Children is focused on mental health, and specifically my mental health, which has not always been stellar. Okay. This is called For the Record. I've only had a few bad days. I really have, it's true. But it happens those few bad days got strung together like minutes that make up an hour, and those few bad days turned into weeks, and I lose sleep over recurring thoughts, and I can exist with bloodshot eyes for 1, 2, maybe 3 days without sleep, and go through those nights with the serenity prayer, and shuffle through those days carrying a rehearsed smile. But eventually I become a danger to myself and others, and that's when a mental inquest warrant comes into play, and I go into the hospital because I've crossed the line. When I'm hospitalized, I have a long road of recovery in front of me. Like clockwork, the mania will fade into depression as brilliant flowers wilt, lose their color, and fall apart. Usually 6 weeks after I leave the hospital, I'll plunge into depression, and it will last for months. And knowing that it's coming won't stop because I'm powerless over the chemicals that run, collide, and shout around in my mind. So where I'm at with my mental health is the last time I was hospitalized was 2002. Since then, I've adhered to medication, and really the only power over my mental illness that I have is basically taking the medication, which I do every day, twice a day actually. And, those medications have side effects that can be severe, such as type 2 diabetes, weight gain, a whole bunch of things. Okay. This is called It Just Seems Lately. And when I wrote this was written in 2008, and I think I was in medication changes because one of the medicines was elevating my blood sugar and triglycerides, so we switched off a medicine that was causing that, but that medicine worked for me. And in the end, I went back on that medicine because I would rather have type 2 diabetes than have a mental illness that's, kind of activated. Okay, It Just Seems Lately. It nearly pushed me over a short concrete ledge, and perhaps it did. My spirit nearly died again. This time it wasn't the alcohol or the drugs or the evening news. It was the medication, and I must say those atypical antipsychotics put a man down with the hangover and weight gain. I tried to go monotherapy, just lithium, because the atypicals took the life in me. I would drag myself out of bed with burning around tired eyes that developed lines and seemed swollen in the morning. I hated looking in the mirror. The side effects of the cure, not the illness, took my spirit and placed my inner light in a meat grinder, and every day I thought less of myself. I would shower, dress, go to work like a ghost, and zombie through the day. Taking lithium alone, I couldn't sleep. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Thursday I missed work to rest and crawled into work. Friday after I got a little sleep from 25 milligrams of another atypical that gave me the same hangover. Friday night I didn't sleep from taking melatonin and valerian, so I went back on the unnamed atypical that reportedly causes type 2 diabetes. Slept and woke hungover. I felt like chaos. I called my doctor. He took me off the atypical and put me on an anticonvulsant. Today I feel a little better. I lost what I loved, and that and hopeless pain is a definition of hell. I lost that I'm a pretty good chess player. I lost the ability to write. I lost what it feels like to be healthy. I lost that I really like listening to the blues. I lost that I really like jazz. I lost how to light the candles and burn the incense. I lost my sense of humor. I lost how to welcome the day. It just seems lately I've been worried about surviving. Yeah, okay. Okay, so this poem is called Plight. Which is more about mental illness, but it's kind of about the system, a little bit of the system, which is not good. At least in Louisville, Kentucky, it's not good. In the tick-tock of long nights, I try to sleep, but endless insomnia spills out of my eyes, while I lose myself in cold darkness. In a bed filled with emptiness, tossing and turning, my vision filled with horror and grandiosity, my hope fading. Constantly I cry, Father, please help me, with sound and chaos streaming from my fast-talking mind, my demons screaming from chemical imbalances, misfires in my brain, voices and ideas set loose, non-stop good ideas that want death, that prefer I die alone, but will settle for slaying my beautiful spirit. Father, please help me. I live in the blind spot of society. Occasionally I come in sight, then become an eyesore. The community turns an ugly eye of fear. My life melts in the summer heat as I trudge alone with ragged nerves that need love and patience. I look tired and frightened. I limp down lifeless, dead-end streets and suffer every night under black crashing waves that sway fading reality. I dream of better days as I fall upon sheets of last month's news and cardboard boxes amidst dead-end alley stench. Father, hear my song. Father, lead me with your unconditional love when I walk into the street, oblivious, full-blown symptomatic, in shoes worn out from endless walking. I stop traffic, horns blare, and loving people swear at my back. In my face, emotionally famished and confused, they fail to see the desperate need to be accepted while I dance on the pavement to the songs in my mind. Father, hold me. The torture of my spirit inevitably occurs prior to suicide or judicial intervention when Father's sunlight within wanes by my illness, my actions, by public ignorance and polite unkindness. I feel despair in black waters, blinded by the surety of hopelessness. I feel out of place, unwelcome, unattractive, with pieces of normality and joy missing. Father, I need you now. Thoughts of suicide begin in self-absorbed isolation and start as a breeze before it turns into a hurricane. An unwanted, embarrassed thought, accompanied by shame for thinking it. It changes into fantasies of a bathtub with warm water. It becomes a recurring daily thought. Suicide whispers. No one understands or love me, that the pain will not end. Father, save me. I'm broken, my perception skewed, and my spirit worn out from awakening each day. I would rather not exist, depressed, in bed like a fallen hiker with a broken back, unable to move into the daylight of my life. My family and friends are gone. I'm surrounded by disparaging inner voices posing as truth. Father, see me. The police arrive with an ambulance after midnight wearing dark blue uniforms and cold black guns. I've become symptoms to the world. I'm taken for an evaluation in a hospital lockdown to a loveless clinical room with doors that lock from the outside. I confront nightmares. I wait 12, 13, 14 hours for an overworked doctor who has seen me before. In the cold, I'm issued a thin gown and sleep shivering on a chair without a blanket or food. I'm shipped to another hospital, forgotten about. I was never really seen. Father, love me. On the unit, wearing my red wristband, I scream profanities to wake the moon. No one wants to touch or talk to me when my illness robs me of myself, and psychosis comes on like a terrible storm, and delusions inform me the staff has slit my throat. When I feel blood running down my chest, Father loves me. Father, comfort me. I later walk through the unit having lost everything I care about. I wear my belongings on my back. I relive my actions in my mind, ashamed and hopeless. I'm followed by a staff on suicide watch, my dignity stripped, head down. I would give anything for a compliment or to be thought of by my name and not by my diagnosis or symptoms. Father, strengthen me. I stabilize on medications I can't afford. Leave the hospital in a fog. Go back into the world delusional where I'm forced to lie that I have a mental illness and simultaneously accept that it is so. Because of my actions when I'm ill, I'm called crazy. And because of my medical history, my thoughts when I'm well are not valid. I'm shot wary looks when I ask questions, or I'm flat out discriminated against for having an illness beyond my will. I meet the expectations set forth by the powers that be, and apply for disability, which includes incentives not to work, ensuring I'll spend most of my time alone, mind unoccupied behind enemy lines with my obsession, ready to relapse in poverty in slumlord housing. This is called defeat. I had a week off for the holidays. I slept past 9, drank Starbucks, and stayed in Louisville. I watched football, visited with friends, played chess, worked out, jogged, and finished reading Orwell's Burmese Days and started reading Capote's In Cold Blood. I wrote a poem I'm satisfied with. I took a bag of clothes to Goodwill. I got my house in order. I rented a few movies and saw the new Rocky Balboa. It ain't over till it's over. Life is good. I didn't hear about a woman thrown down, injuring her wrist by the police on a mental inquest warrant. I didn't hear about a consumer going into seclusion and restraints and coming out with bruises. I was taking some books to the used bookstore, and one fell out on bipolar disorder. I casually flipped through some of the pages and stopped at one that listed the personality traits of someone with bipolar. My eyes watered. I realized it's absolutely pathetic that anyone can sum me up nice and neat to fit in a preconceived box. Within this system, there's little room for love. I'll never rise above the stigma. So, the stigma is very real. It's very, very powerful. And I was at a conference once, and they said, they had some dictionary that was like from the 50s, and they said the definition of the stigma then was a brand that they put on an evildoer. That was one of the definition of the word stigma. And so, all I can do is try to be an example of recovery. And, that's it. Okay.